You are live.
Okay, good morning. It's 11 a.m. Wednesday, November 13th. This is a regular meeting of our Public Safety Committee. All members are present. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and the public have been duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. First item of business is citizens' comments. There are none.
Yes, sir.
Approval of previous meeting minutes. The October 7th meeting minutes are in our packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any changes or adjustments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is a presentation by Reggie Chandra with Rhythm Solutions on some technology around adaptive traffic signals. And I don't know if you want to give
Yeah.
an introduction, Douglas.
I'll just give a quick introduction to Reggie and his team. Jan and I have been talking to the town of Mount Pleasant, as it relates to traffic studies, broader kind of traffic problems that we see and feel coming on and off the island. They had a number of suggestions that we're kind of cycling through, but one that I think they said could be low-hanging fruit for the city is to replicate the system that they currently are using on their end of the connector. And they are using a system from Rhythm Solutions, and it's an adaptive traffic control system, a lot like, John, I think what you were describing, kind of a desire to try to leverage technology a little bit more to improve efficiencies in that signal at the bottom of the connector. So we've contacted Reggie. We've met one other time with Reggie, Jan and I have, and kind of gotten an overview of what their product is. And we've just asked him, and of course he's in Europe. I'm guessing it's late at night, so we appreciate him taking the time out of his schedule to be here with us. And just wanted him to go kind of quickly through it, give an introduction, and then we will digest that and kind of create new paths forward if it's something that you will kind of like the direction of.
All right.
So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Reggie. If you don't mind, if you could just kind of run through what you all do, what your firm does, and the solutions that you're using in the town of Mount Pleasant.
Definitely. So we have been in business for 17 years, and our company exclusively focuses on traffic signal optimization and traffic flow. Near you, we are the only solution that Mount Pleasant uses, and almost all their signals use the InSync adaptive system. There have been studies that show a dramatic improvement. They were using this at the Highway 17 reconstruction. Then Augusta, Georgia uses us, and we manage the traffic around the Augusta National, which quite a lot of traffic that comes into the city just for that particular season. Then near them we have Columbia County, Georgia. They're 100% using the InSync adaptive system. If I may share my screen, I'll give you an understanding of what your problem is, as I understand it, and perhaps we can talk a little bit about the solution. So you have essentially there is only one road that the Isle of Palms connector that runs into the city, and it crosses Palm Boulevard, and it causes backup often. And what I understood was that the backup goes around the bend, and then it's hard to take a right turn here because it's congested, and essentially it's a gridlock. The first recommendation is make this signal at the Isle of Palms connector and Palm Boulevard smart with InSync, and then deploy Q detector around the curve. Provide communication using, they need to be interconnected. In other words, we need remote access so we can monitor what is happening. We provide remote connectivity using a cellular modem. So both these nodes are connected. And this cue detector, when it senses that there are queues backed up and cars are stopped, or essentially there's a gridlock over here, then we will automatically invoke a flush plan that will move people through. There are other solutions like facing adjustments to reduce the conflict points here, but that could come at a later date. So that is the solution. And InSync system, essentially, it's a rule-based AI. If you can imagine a police officer standing at the intersection with a walkie-talkie that is talking to a cue detector, that'll be the solution. So there are cameras that form the eye of the system, of the robot, and it knows how many cars are waiting to be served based on the occupancy of these detection zones. And if the queue is not clearing, it would give that particular movement more green time. And it does that automatically, but there is a set of configurations we do based on what we see in the field. And just like this is video coming over a cellular modem. This is good enough for traffic engineering work. Currently, your public safety officers are having to go to the field and operate the controller in the field. Well, we will eliminate that. If there is an incident, they can manually take control of the signal from their remote network. In other words, they could be sitting in the office, monitor what is going on, adjust the traffic, if that is needed. Then the AI queue detector would be something like this. We can pull that up. It would, the view would be something like this. It'll be different because we're going to be looking at mid-block. So the AI will recognize each object from the video and pass on over the network information back to the brain at the key intersection. So those are the solutions, just based on the conversation that I had. Seems to be the problem that you all face. And also, this will give you emergency evacuation capability if you want it, because if there is an incident and people need to evacuate, we can invoke emergency plan that flushes out traffic the best way it can. And another thing I want to note is that this is not a cure for oversaturation. This will enable the traffic signal to function the best possible way based on information we are getting.
Yeah, thanks, Reggie. I mean, this is the technology that I was referring
This
to
is what you
initially.
had
This
in
is
your mind's
in my
eye.
mind. But a couple questions, one or comment, and then a question. One comment is that it goes much further back than that curve. The traffic can back up, 2 miles, but down Palm Boulevard. And it also can back up on another roadway, Waterway Boulevard. So it's like a dual backup. So I assume that there can be feed from various points that's feeding into the robot to make sure that it's considering traffic at all points.
Yes, depending, I was trying to be conservative here because if I may share my screen again.
I would think, Reggie, though, if it's trying to clear to 23rd, and it's making the effort
Yeah.
to get 23rd to clear, it almost would be a moot point if
Well,
it's
I guess
still
that's true.
backed
The
up
the
to
furthest point up, yeah,
38th.
yeah.
And I think
guess-
it would work to clear to the point that we
Yeah.
tell it to work to clear to.
I guess that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
So I was hoping we could find a utility pole where I need power
Yeah.
for this. where we can mount a NEMA box. Some are here or here, but I haven't seen this particular problem yet. So first step would be for me to take a trip down there, take a look at it, and then give you a suggestion.
Yeah.
You can add multiple detection, multiple points where you can have sensors. But finding the most optimal way would be the solution. So I will share with you again a video of a live location in California. Again, the video is coming over cell modem. It's at their ramp. This is a pedestrian safety system. We do recognize pedestrians and bicycles and provide safety for them. If there's a pedestrian on here, light is about to change, we will put a hold on it so people are vulnerable road users, safety is enhanced. So this would be something like this. We can recognize vehicles, we know they're stopped, and then it sends a message to the brain and says, hey, something's happening here, let's flush that movement, give it more time.
All right, thanks. The other question I have, though, is you mentioned you're doing this at Mount Pleasant, and you reference Highway 17 intersection, but I think a critical bottleneck for us, at least the first bottleneck in Mount Pleasant, is Rifle Range Road. Is that also on this technology that we can sync both our lights and our traffic flow with that light and that traffic flow?
So the signals, almost 100% of the system in Mount Pleasant is our system. But I think the distance between two signals are quite long, especially across the bridge. So it may not, because there's call it platoon dispersion, cars change speeds, etc. So coordinating may not be a good option, but we can look at it, because the way I look at your single intersection, that is going to need its own configuration.
But I mean,
Especially-
the source of the bottleneck many times starts at Rifle Range Road, goes all the way back across the connector through that stoplight at Palm Boulevard.
I guess I'm, to that point, Reggie, similar to what we've talked about on Palm, when it backs up, if we were to identify the kind of pain point on the Mount Pleasant side, I don't know that it ever comes like all the way back to our connector.
Right.
But if we were to work with the town of Mount Pleasant on either purchasing or sharing in the purchase of that queue monitor, and we identified a point that we could say, hey, once it queues back to a half mile away, that's too much. Can you please then give priority to getting through that light? Would that be that they would work independently, but maybe it would have the additional benefit of having that queue monitor in the town of Mount Pleasant side, if they're agreeable, to help flush their light on that end?
Definitely possible. We would set up a different configuration for their system that flushes out the queue as best as possible.
So I don't think
I
they
believe
have
the
that
town
now.
would be
But
cooperative, and there's no reason why they would not do that. James Ayton and
yeah, we have heard, and to your point, and Reggie's just saying how kind of how good they've been to work with, and we found that at the staff level too, that they're definitely looking to find solutions that benefit us as well as them. They have indicated, though, that if we were to give full priority to kind of leaving the island, that it creates pain points on people trying, in the Mount Pleasant side, trying to get through that intersection. So I know they would want to be sensitive to that, and I know they wouldn't do it just kind of frequently. But I think that if we were to make the case to them that, hey, when it's a half a mile backed up, that's too much. Give the people exiting priority, and I would think they would be
We're-
agreeable to that.
Aren't we attempting to do that now on those busy weekends when our
Manually.
police department calls
Yeah, we're doing it all
Mount Pleasant
manually.
and says, hey, we
currently.
got gridlock, can you help us out? And they do that over there now, but it's manually. So
Yes.
this would do it automatically,
Right.
yeah,
It would do that automatically. That is correct.
yeah. So,
Well, I think it's, you have anything, questions or comments?
Yeah, a couple of things here. I mean, it seems to me like on the Mount Pleasant side that their major pain points or pinch points are right there at rifle range to Highway 17. On those busy weekends when you have traffic north, south, east, west, going in all directions there. So hopefully it would be to their benefit to try to move that traffic as quickly as they could on the really busy summer weekends we have. So I'm optimistic about that. On the signaling, and I apologize, I'm still having trouble making out everything you're saying here, but the light, the timing of the light here on Palm Boulevard, okay, say if the traffic's backed up to 23rd Avenue, so that technology recognizes that and has the light turn green to allow that traffic to move more freely. And it holds that for quite a long length of time until that traffic lessens. How does that work, John?
It does.
Reggie.
It works off of, let me share my screen again. There's a tension between side street delay and, share my screen, and the main street. We would override that a little bit. PowerPoint.
can we set how much we override, what percentage, or?
Yes, we would set a percent. So it works off of essentially, as you notice, when a car pulls up, it gives it a token. The car waits 5 seconds, it gets another token. As you can see, the
Oh.
token count is increasing for each car, and it sums it up for each lane. And it's monitoring all 4 approaches every second. And when so the algorithm, it's called greedy algorithm. It doesn't want to hand out tokens. It changes the light so that the number of tokens it has to hand out per vehicle is minimum. So just like a police officer standing there taking a look at the location and saying, hey, the queue there is getting longer and they've been waiting for a long time. I need to give that direction green. So it's a digital architecture. It's a state-based system. So that's how it functions, basically.
Okay, and let me ask you about, following up with that. Now, we've got queues that back up on Palm Boulevard that might be 30 minutes or longer. So giving that the green time for 30 minutes is not going to be the way it happens. So you use the tokens to periodically stop that traffic and let the minor streets go through?
That is correct.
Okay.
And you also, we have to John's point earlier, we back up on Waterway Boulevard, and of course that has 21st Avenue leading up to Palm, where the church is right there. That traffic backs up. So I guess there, if the light's green, we just rely on sort of the zipper effect
Yeah.
for people to allow people to make the right turn to get into the traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm wondering now, kind of based on, I would assume that if Palm is not backed up beyond 23rd, probably a good chance that it's also not backing up very far on Waterway. I would assume that just works naturally,
Yeah.
but I think if we were to figure out that it does, we could put the queue monitor at the S-curve and just say, hey, if it's backed up to the S-curve, we want to start giving priority, regardless of whether it's coming from Waterway or the Palm side, we'll just start giving priority.
Right. Well, I think, I'm in favor of this technology, and let's look at, looking at it and moving forward in some way. I think there'll be a learning curve for people who visit our island.
Well-
because they're accustomed to,
Yeah.
trying to find that shortcut off the
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
That'd be a
So
surprise.
anyway, I'm good, Chair.
Is this purely algorithm driven, or is there a machine learning aspect to it as well?
The queue detector is machine learning. So it is trained, actually. It's a neural net, a convolution neural net that is trained to recognize vehicles. So, but InSync uses rule-based AI.
Okay. So it is somewhat adaptive, though.
Yeah.
Adaptive learning. So if it recognizes certain moves in a previous day, it can translate that to future learning and future changes.
Faster than that.
It is supervised learning, so it doesn't go crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that happens. So InSync is rule-based AI. The detectors are convolution neural nets.
Okay.
And the optimizer, there are two that work in tandem to get us the result. Green times are not wasted. That is the benefit.
Yep.
And we can expand out and serve more cars. And if the occupancy in the detection zones don't clear, then it's gives it more leeway to get through.
Great.
Reggie, one thing, and I don't fully understand it from the last time we talked, but it did sound from talking to James Aton at the town of Mount Pleasant, there are certain events that he is actually manually doing something. And I don't know, wasn't fully clear on if a person needs to be doing something every time you have gridlock, or was he just choosing to do it that way? And if so, is that something that our police department would be doing? Or is there some he's a traffic engineer, obviously, and can you just talk through how that would happen and what he was referring to when he's manually doing something?
Yeah, so when the AI, all AI have thresholds. So when that threshold is exceeded, a human can take over. When I say human can take over, you don't have to go to into the field, turn on the lights and control the signal. They can do it from their office. And that's what James Aton is doing. There's an interface, like what I showed you, you say, okay, I'm just going to override the algorithm, and I'm going to give this movement more green.
Gotcha.
So,
I
and
think,
it doesn't, we will train your officers to do that. It's not a hard thing at all, just exactly like what they do in the field, except they have an interface and connection to the signal. They don't have to go out of the field, and they can sit there and do it. This is cases where we have not programmed for. Since you only have one entry into the network, sometimes it can, cause issues.
We're
And
one
then the
stoplight
next thing
town.
is,
yeah, one single town.
when we look at your signal facing, we may have to give it the right turners from Palm exclusive access, exclusive right turn, and stop the left turns and the through movements. That'll clear the queue.
They're closing left.
So Reggie, last thing that I think I know would be on folks' mind and considering this, if we were to look at other communities that have put this out to bid or gotten pricing online, would you expect to be kind of in the $70,000 to $80,000 range? Is that a fair kind of guess as to where you would think the cost would be for the cabinet plus one Q monitor? The full.
I don't think you need a cabinet. The DOT's cabinet is good enough. Our
Okay.
System fits right in.
Okay.
The hardware, so you're looking at 2 units, so it should be in that ballpark.
Okay.
And I think it's 50,000 for the intersection, and then 20,000 for any remote monitors, is the way it broke down.
Does that sound about right, Reggie?
I'd have to look at it. So we're looking at 1Q detection. That I think would be about 25, and the InSync would be about 50, I think.
Okay.
Then the time it takes for us to configure it. Normally it takes a week to understand what the traffic patterns are. And I in this case, I think I need a field visit so I can see for myself what the traffic is doing.
Reggie, are you located in Europe or are you just visiting Europe?
We have an office here, so I just I haven't been here in 6 months, so came to visit my team here. So our headquarters is in Kansas City.
Kansas City, okay.
Yeah, but we work with 160 cities in the U.S. and
Yeah.
there are 2 cities in Europe that we work with as well.
Okay.
I mean, the beauty of this system too, especially for us, is that our traffic is so variable throughout the year. This time of year, we have almost no traffic. And in the summertime, we can't accommodate what we have. And this system automatically adapts for those differences. So the one thing is, you will never have to sit through more than one traffic signal 9 months of the year with this system. And then for
I don't
about,
guarantee that.
oh, you don't know how quiet it is
I
here
will
in the
improve
wintertime.
it. I will definitely improve it.
Yeah.
The ultimate test will be the summertime, Saturday afternoon, 4 PM thunderstorm on the solid.
Well, that's when we have
Put
what's
that in
called,
the system.
there's a system, this might have been the manual
So I think
switch
Reggie,
too, was what we
Reggie
call
maybe
it.
pulled away from a work event to do this.
It's okay,
Okay.
yeah, go,
good?
I think I'm good. Are you done with questions?
With questions for Reggie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reggie,
All right,
thanks a
we're gonna
lot.
go-
Reggie.
we'll- Yeah, we'll be
Very
back in
helpful.
touch. Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, have a safe trip back. Bye-bye.
All right. The other thing is they have what's called a flush program. And he mentioned this for, I think, some of the other beach communities he's worked with, and I think this is what Mount Pleasant uses as well, so that on that 4th of July or Memorial Day weekends, when we do have extreme traffic, you just turn it onto this system, and it just gives maximum amount of time to the island clearing it. And that's when we'd be contacting Mount Pleasant usually to say, hey, we're doing that now. And they have a system just like, similar to ours too.
What would you suggest we do to move forward if we wanted to kind of go to the next step with this?
Yes, so I would just say, and it seems very exciting, seems like a great technology. There's obviously the cost. We did have a conversation with the DOT, that the DOT controls that intersection. They were not quite as rosy about just adaptive signals in general. They indicated that they would, of course, the first request to them is, it's your signal, we want it better, would you all consider sharing in the expense? That was kind of a hard no. And when working a little bit more with them, it sounded as though they would be agreeable through the encroachment permit process, and that's going to be a theme throughout this entire agenda. It sounds like they will authorize us to do it, but they won't share in any expense. And they did, and I will say, we heard this throughout. We talked to the town of Mount Pleasant traffic engineer, we talked to Reggie, who's a traffic engineer, we talked to the DOT traffic engineers. They kept saying, this is not gonna fix your capacity problems. And so it's not, don't put it in and think it's gonna fix everything. The other part that the DOT kind of warned us, I guess, about is that they are, like any computer, it needs rebooting, it needs maintenance, it needs new brains occasionally, it needs new batteries. Just kind of said, you have to, you're gonna have to, it's gonna be a thing, probably like our kiosks, that the staff has to kind of get up to speed on, have their hands on, kind of monthly, if not more. So there's a little bit of cautionary, I guess.
Well, there always is when you move to new technology, but I think we moderate expectations here. At least I don't have an expectation that all of a sudden we're gonna have free-flowing traffic
Yeah.
in July on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But I also think there's things we can do to make it better, and this is one of those things I think that can make it better.
Yeah.
And that we ought to explore. I don't know, though, if there's other companies that
So the-
also have this, that we ought to entertain proposals from other companies.
Yeah,
to say,
that
This
was-
is one, and there's a lot of benefits to what he said in working with Mount Pleasant and all that, but we should do our diligence, I think, and see if there's other companies that have similar technologies and what their proposal would be.
Yeah, and that was another point that the DOT made, is they have been using a different company. And they do have it, they have it in a few places, sounds like they're not bowled over with it. But it's a competitor to this operation. So if it's a direction that council wanted to go through, we would, at a minimum, ask for either qualifications or proposals slightly different, and allow you all or allow some committee of the city to grade those and kind of choose a path forward with one of the companies.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we're talking about equipment and installation, so we're probably talking about going to bid on that.
Well, it's gonna be slightly different. You would, because they're not gonna be exactly apples to apples. So I think you would want to agree on probably the firm first, because they're gonna, I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, it's a software. You're choosing
Yeah.
a software with some cameras. And they're gonna, I'm assuming they're gonna be just different.
I will say one of the things one of the reasons why I'm leaning towards this company already without seeing others, which is a bit prejudicial, is because our neighbor, Mount Pleasant, is using this company and this system. And if we do run into problems, I'm sure we could reach to them for advice and maybe even some help.
Yeah, and they've actually confirmed that. They have a sole staff person dealing with this equipment at, I think, almost every intersection. So we kind of said, hey, if we have one,
Yeah.
it has a glitch, would that person be available? And they
Yeah.
Does the DOT do any cost sharing with Mount Pleasant?
No.
Well, they
They
pay
don't-
Mount Pleasant for it, right? I mean,
Yes, they have an agreement where Mount Pleasant has actually taken over all the maintenance of the signaling because they're so kind of embedded in managing it. So they are actually paying to kind of defray the cost of maintaining. So there is a little bit of a cost share. It's not that they're paying for the equipment. It's just that they're giving them kind of a pro rata share what the DOT would have paid to maintain the equipment that they would otherwise have to have there. So when they pull the DOT equipment out, it's gonna save them some marginal amount. I don't think it would be much with one signal, but I think they've done hundreds of signals, so it's probably, more of a, it's a higher amount in the town of Mount Pleasant, obviously. So they are getting some money back from the DOT.
I'm not sure, do they pull out the DOT equipment or just add on to it,
I think they pull it out. I mean, I think that cabinet is pretty full, isn't it? Yeah, and I think this equipment, and Reggie sent me this morning just a download, a pamphlet.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a pretty sizable,
Box.
it's a big thing. So I think they
Okay.
have to pull out the old and put in.
But he said we wouldn't need a cabinet, so we would maintain, we'd just have the DOT cabinet that's
Yeah,
there.
the existing cabinet, I think they'd pull out all that they need to pull out, put in what they need to. And
Yeah, so,
almost sound like you'd seen our cabinet. I guess maybe they're all.
well, they're pretty standard, yeah.
Well, I'd like to see us move forward with
Yeah.
exploring this more. I don't know
So-
if you need all the council or we need to just, go to the next step in the committee level at least before we bring it to council, but whatever the right approach is, I think we should move forward.
Couldn't we just direct Douglas as a committee to do the due diligence that we talked
so.
about? Maybe looking at DOT's vendor or whatever?
I think so.
And come back to committee
I'd like
with
to do that,
suggestions.
come back to committee, maybe a different committee,
Yeah.
but it'd come back to the public safety committee,
Early
whoever
next
that
year.
is, early
Yes.
next
Right.
year with,
Kind of procedurally, we would do an RFP or Q, bring that to the next public safety committee. You all could choose a vendor that you want to work with. We would then get an actual proposal from the chosen vendor, and then that could go up to.
Yeah, I
full
mean,
council.
the earliest that, with, the end of the year, new committees, that sort of thing, I mean, you're looking probably at
January.
early spring before we even
Yeah.
get
it
up
would be
and going or
past
something like
January.
that.
January, you would just choose a vendor
Uh-huh.
to get a proposal
Yeah.
from. February, you might consider a proposal.
I
So,
agree.
so time is of the essence.
Yeah,
Well-
so I would like to see that.
The other beauty of this is there's no data collection because it's simultaneous with the system. So we sign the contract, they could install the equipment the next day.
Right.
It won't be, but it'll be.
So you
within
don't need
months.
on-site traffic engineers monitoring.
No, none of that anymore.
Yeah.
It's all done by cameras Yeah,
You don't need a
and computers.
consultancy job? when
I
you-
lost my job. Yeah.
Hey, you're one of those
I know.
AI replaced.
All right, great, then let's.
Do we need to vote on that, or is that
No.
just, okay,
No, we're
thanks.
clear on that.
All right. Moving to old business, first item is discussion of noise ordinance. This is, we already voted on this, but there was some language change, so I will bring it back. We voted to move it to city council, to the workshop. So I just, if there's no significant changes on anything, I suggest we just move it to the next workshop, which would be January.
So the point, so you all recommended approval of it.
Yeah.
At that meeting, Jan suggested changes.
Yeah.
I went back, attempted to put her changes into the red line for council's consideration. I got mixed signals back as to whether or not what I had put together reflected the changes you agreed to. And it specifically, I think, and John, you were the daytime sound, and I think you felt like the
I
only thing that would change there would be the times
Yeah, I thought,
and
and
the
this is,
title.
this is something we should ask Jan what she
Yeah.
intended, but I thought that it was just daytime sound, everything else was gonna, and the, times would
times.
change, but everything else would stay the same, but in reading this, basically, what it's done, it's removed where it was just amplified sound, music and sound, it changed it to any sounds between that time. If they're what's the language, unreasonably loud volume. So it did change it to all sounds versus just amplified sounds. And I just wanted to make sure that's what Jan intended before we took it forward, because I don't know if we had that conversation in depth with her changes at the last meeting.
Now, it looked accurate to me, but I defer to whatever.
Jan,
Okay.
are you tracking it on C in the red line?
Yeah, I
If
see
that-
what you're saying. I just wanted it to be consistent with nighttime sound. Shall we off,
I think it's I don't know
think
that
it's the same as sound. I mean,
it's a little semantics, I think, whether we
Yes.
leave it or chop it. Because I think even in the old language, it had or other sounds. So it had a list
Yeah.
of things and then said or other sounds. Now we would just be saying
sound.
any sound.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of the same
And
thing.
they are. And I think there's also a whole section in this ordinance that kind of gets into point of what's unreasonably loud too. There's certain, so I think, so after reading it, I'm good with it. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that's what Jan meant.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good.
Good with the red line
Yeah.
that's in the
And
packet.
that's what we
Enough.
approved kind of
Okay.
last
All
time,
right.
so. I think it just goes to, based on our vote, we don't need to vote again on it.
No, if this is just
goes to-
clarification on what you
Okay.
voted on last.
All right, good.
The next item is update on scope of future traffic study.
So I just have a quick update on this.
Yeah.
Did talk, and as we mentioned earlier, Jan and I both met with James Aton, kind of just talked about their engineers on call. And they don't have them, they don't need them much, but they gave us suggestions of, who they've worked with and who they think would be a good fit for this role. They suggested the two that we've worked with before, Stan Tech and Jennifer Beal. We've worked with both of them in the past. I did get, had a pretty long, good conversation with Jennifer Beal. She gave me a copy of the agreement that she has with the city of Charleston. It sounds, in talking to her, like her relationship with the city of Charleston, and as she would propose it to us, is it's fairly similar to how our relationship is with Stephen Trainum. If we have a coastal thing that happens, we kind of call him, he shows up, he looks at it, he assesses it, he addresses the council, has some suggestions. She gave us the hourly rate for that work. And I think the last time you all met, you kind of talked about having that person to kind of be in the room when you're having these conversations. At the same time that was happening, this thing with an AI traffic signal came up. I don't know that one negates the need for the other. I mean, I don't know if you kind of are now down a path with the traffic signal that might be a good kind of first step towards doing something. But during that time, we could also have an engagement with somebody like Jennifer, if you all thought, or Stan Tech, who we also have a relationship with, if you all felt the need to do it at this point.
What I see this as is an on-call traffic engineering consultant, not a study per se. And what it means is that anytime we have an issue related to traffic or parking or issues with circulation on the island, we have someone who can call in and give us expert advice on it. You know, do we need a stop sign here, or what we need elsewhere? How we go about doing this work. And that, I think, is what most cities who are not large enough to have a staff have someone like that. We have a drainage consultant that is pretty much on call when we need somebody. We have trained them for the beach renourishment. We do not have anybody like that for traffic. You know, it's usually a hair on fire. We try to decide what we want to do every time. So that's the idea, is have somebody there. It doesn't cost us anything to have them on call.
Well, if you call them, it costs you.
Call you,
Right.
only if you use them. Yep. There's no retainer fee for
Yeah,
this.
So there's no retainer fee at all
No.
for these guys?
The way her agreement works with the city of Charleston is that city authorizes kind of blocks of time. So in her example was, you know, they would authorize about $10,000 worth of work. She then invoiced an hourly rate that we have.
Against whatever's budgeted.
Of
Yeah.
the times that we call her up to a point that you exhaust the $10,000 consideration for, so balances on the amount of time being spent and the cost, but there is obviously a cost if you're using the services.
Billable hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the way it works is that it's not like you're gonna receive a monthly bill from this
No.
person.
Unless you
even if
call
they
them
didn't-
monthly.
Even if they didn't do any work, yeah.
correct.
So.
Well, it seems to me it'd be prudent for us to, I mean, we're going down the path of this AI technology to see this through, see how this works.
Yeah, right.
And then keep what Jan's recommending sort of
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
Yeah, we may
back
just,
of the desk too, that we, you
at
know,
Exactly,
the next
yeah.
time that I think the city feels that we have a need for a traffic engineer, that might be the time we kind of breathe life into this agreement that we have in our shelves and pull that out, activate it, get it authorized. And, so we kind of have the groundwork to, I think, do it with one of a couple different firms if we chose to. I don't know that there's a need to do anything with a traffic engineer now, unless you will tell me otherwise. We would just kind of keep it in our back pocket until we need it.
Well, they do their own traffic engineering for this particular.
That's correct.
So, I mean, maybe the firm, like Reggie's firm, the Rhythm Solutions.
oh, yeah, well, for that, but
for
let's,
that. But I mean, so, and maybe we keep, you know, Jennifer abreast of what we're doing, but not involve her with it. And then, like you said, when we need the next phase of any kind of traffic improvement, we start to involve her.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
But I
fine
mean,
with
on
that.
an on-call basis,
Yeah.
if the system gets in place and it's doing fine, but not as well as we wanted, and there's still backups or bottlenecks someplace,
You can call.
yeah, somebody like our own traffic engineering consultant would be familiar enough with what's going on here. They could look and say, if you tweak this, or if we just make no left turns here, or something like that, you can fix it, you know. Another one that comes to mind is this walkability study that we're doing with DOT now.
It's going to be kind of yield a list of potential projects,
Yeah.
to your point, not a full
Yeah.
engineering analysis of any of them.
And I'm just saying that the consultant could be our advocate, saying, well, these are things that are doable here on the island. You know, the people that came and ran the work.
As a quick tangent, I will say, talking to James and Reggie, both of them kind of mentioned in passing the potential benefit of a whatever it's called, basically a green light for that right for the right turn onto the connector, kind of a protected green. I think they felt like that zippering that was happening was causing time delays, and if that lane of traffic was able to maintain whatever they get up to, 25 miles an hour, and just stay flowing. So both of them, in about kind of 3 minutes of talking and looking at it, made this same suggestion independently of each other of that being like an easy potential.
At Palm
So-
Boulevard.
Yeah.
So when you're coming from the S curve
Yeah.
towards the connector, you
Yeah.
get up against the Harris Teeter,
Yeah.
and then you get in that lane
I-
going up.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
because I noticed that myself, because you got turns turning left
Yeah.
that then.
And they don't zipper.
And they don't zipper, they
wait.
zipper slowly, and they're
They have
saying,
to wait.
Right.
if they were just given a protected green
I
and they
agree.
knew it for a minute, because they could see that green, they're not trying to look back.
I
But
agree.
both of them kind of gravitated towards, might
Well,
be an
that-
easy.
I'm all for
That right
too.
turn gets stopped too when the opposing traffic on Palm Boulevard, the left's on their go.
That's what-
Yeah, because
And
they're
also
waiting
on
here too, so
14th
they just, I
Avenue.
mean, I'm going, and you know.
Yeah,
the heck
so-
with you.
That's right.
And the other, to follow up on that too, is one of the things we can do without permission from Mount Pleasant is we could two-lane that right-hand lane all the way to halfway across the bridge and then have it merge into a single lane.
Zipper on the bridge?
Yeah, it's called a merge onto, yeah.
Well, that would
into
be,
a single
I mean, that
lane
would be
halfway
something
down.
that we would have to work with DOT on for the
Right.
future, but.
But
But I
somebody,
think we're
they had
making
already
a case that we
suggested
do
that
need
as
a traffic
possibility.
engineer kind
Yeah.
of, and also in addition to
Yeah.
this, to kind of help work with these traffic solutions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm in favor of doing it, especially if
Yeah.
it's on a time basis, but are you suggesting that we hire Jennifer, or we put this out for RP, or we do, what is the next step?
It would be, so this is another professional service. It is specifically exempted. We could just choose who we feel like is best. I feel like based on Jennifer's relationship with the city of Charleston, kind of also being recommended by the town of Mount Pleasant, we would be safe to just kind of support, choose Jennifer, take her, we would need to take her proposal and a dollar amount through the council process for approval. It's an unbudgeted expense, so we would need to get that authorized by council.
But there is no amount, you're just saying that's who we're gonna use.
Well, we would authorize up to some amount.
All right, well,
Chosen.
I would suggest we just take that forward then in the next council at the workshop, again, and say, hey, this is who we'd like to use for traffic, consultant.
Would that be, I mean, is the initial task to kind of analyze the idea of a protected green at that zippering onto the connector?
I think so. I think that's a tremendous bottleneck,
Yeah.
when I observe it myself. And it works in conjunction with anything we do with this AI thing as well,
Right.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, I'm fine with that. Are you?
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
All right, next item is update on beach inlet signage. And I assume this is you, Chief, or you, Douglas?
Yeah, Chief.
Chief. I assume this is about the no swimming and
Yeah.
no wading and stuff. I did have some complaints from people, I think I talked to you about, Chief, on this, around that the picture, we put these signs on the beach inlets going back, I think, how far do we go back?
To Fifth.
Fifth. And so people were, and the picture on there that said, kind of identified the no swimming area, kind of wrapped fairly far along, around the beach, so they're saying, I can't go out, on Fourth Avenue and go swimming because, or I'm gonna get $1,000 fine. And I don't think that was the intent of it, and maybe, so I don't know if you've had any feedback on it as well from residents.
Good question. I haven't had any feedback from residents. I don't know if PD has received any feedback, but on the graphic, how it was designed, with each beach access, there's a yellow "You are here" notation, and then you see the area in red down the beach that is static. It does not change. There's
Yeah.
that protected by ordinance, and then the area where you are that specific access is noted in the yellow. So you see, okay, I can go straight out here because I am right here at this spot. And so I think it's just a learning curve for people to, take time to look at the signage to see, okay, this is where I am in relation to that.
But it
area
clearly
protected by
denotes,
ordinance.
yellow
correct.
being sort of cautionary, be cautious
How far?
when you go
around-
out, but, yeah.
How far around was the intent to go? I don't know was it I thought it was just in Breach Inlet.
It
but
is.
did it-
And that would extend to what,
It's-
just the 100 to 200 block?
I don't know.
So obviously it's a dynamic area, how that area
Right.
changes with sand accretion and as we lose sand. But it notes that area that is protected by ordinance. Again, it's a map, so there's a little fluctuation, how it is in real time, but we dialed it in as close as we could to the ordinance, so.
How are you guys enforcing that? Do you know, Chief? I mean, I don't know if you thought much about it yet, but.
Well, basically, we have beach service officers out there, and they would be able to enforce it. And we do have a lot of people to give us calls if there's any violations out there, people waiting or anything on the beach, in the water.
And, when we encounter people, if our guys are out there training or doing whatever they might be doing, it's always an education moment. I mean, we, let them know the dangers of Breach Inlet, and then people, readily comply with that.
So the officers, whether they're fire department or police department, it's basically BSOs and your staff, if they see one that's in an area that may be deemed part of Breach Inlet, they
Yeah, they
give people
usually-
warnings, or
Yeah.
they just say, please don't swim here, it's
Right.
dangerous.
They let them know, they educate them on the ordinance, and
Mm-hmm.
depending on, how that interaction go, it may be a warning, it may be
Right.
a citation, so.
Yeah.
Is it illegal to swim at Breach?
In Breach, yeah.
Yeah, in
Yes.
Breach. But now we're talking about, where does Breach
In.
end? The shifting sands of Breach Inlet.
Yeah.
We want you to be alive to pay this citation.
I mean, I think we definitely get Breach Inlet, that's pretty clear and definite.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think we have to have some flexibility or understanding of how far around it
Right.
is to be dangerous. And I think that's where some subjectiveness may come in, but certainly within Breach Inlet, that's a definite and clear. All right. Any other update on it, or?
The signage is completely installed. Robert Acero was great to work with. We cleaned up some of the existing signage where we're able to use one post and put multiple signs instead of having multiple posts. So Robert went out with the vendor, and the beach access signage is more cleaned up in that area, which is nice. And then Chandra was a huge help with going back and forth with the vendor on the template. And so that project is 100% complete, and then we'll just maintain the signs as time goes on. And if they get faded, we'll make sure that we replace them. But the signage is reflective, so it will stand out at night. If you're walking out there at night, people go wading to crab or whatever, they're aware, so they're educated.
Right. Chair, I know that we, at one point, Chief had suggested also some, like historical reference type signage in that area to denote, the crossing of Breach Inlet, that sort of thing. That's something we never really took up. Maybe that's something that next year with this committee or whatever committees deemed necessary ought to take a look at. Kind of like the signage we're doing down in the public dock area, with the migratory birds, that sort of thing, but showing the historical significance of the British failing to cross the inlet and the Patriots defending it.
There is a sign, but it's not a Breach Inlet. There's one
No,
on
that's the
front.
Cornwallis historical marker on
Right.
Charleston.
I guess that's where the inlet was when that.
Yeah, yeah,
incident-
Oh,
that
really?
inlet used to be,
Wow.
yeah, huge, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for the putting
Yeah.
a historical.
That's
signage
just
up.
maybe a future thing to
Yeah.
note.
All right, the next item is update on painting of crosswalks at 43rd and 46th Avenues.
Before we move on, are we, with that project being complete, are we okay to remove that
Remove
from
it,
future
yeah.
agendas?
Yes.
Okay, we'll remove that. These crosswalks, so the way we understood the directive from, so a work order was put in with the DOT to paint the white lines at 43rd and 46th. We understood that work was underway. We very recently learned that owners in the neighborhood reached out to get a status update. The DOT replied back to the owners that they were waiting on us to do the red brick painting. That's different than what we were understanding. So Robert is working through with the DOT, getting clarity on whether that was just a misunderstanding or what. If we need to do the red brick painting first, that'll delay it a bit again. Again, that wasn't our understanding. We're hopeful that it's on the DOTs. We know that a work order was released last month, was their update. So we have a little bit of a kink that we're working through now and don't quite know all the details and what DOT has determined most recently. But we're actively working on it, doing it. But it's a process with the DOT.
Well, I think we had that question at one point, but it seems to me like the confusion is on DOT's part on that, because
Usually
I
is.
think it was, I think it was pretty clear that, we can just get it repainted, the white
Yeah.
stripes or whatever, that would have been,
Yeah, that was the beginning of the
Acceptable.
process. That option was
Yeah.
posed to us. Do you want it to be red brick? If so, do that first. If not, we'll do
Right.
the white line. In my mind, we made that clear, but something happened. Something changed between 3 months ago and now. But
how much of a delay do we think this will cause?
well, if it's just a misunderstanding, I don't think much at all. But if maybe they've just changed their position and they're going to say, hey, you need to do the red striping first, that probably will add about a month.
I don't know why we would, though. I just push back and say,
Yeah.
no, we don't. We
Yeah.
want you to come and do this. This is a safety issue for us that we need to get done quick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are doing that.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right, well, we'll keep that on the
Yep,
agenda.
yep,
then.
keep that going.
The matrix, are we,
We really don't have an update for this. This is on the staff to work internally to bubble up kind of top priorities that are in that matrix. We have not had an opportunity to do that, but we will.
I think last time we looked at it, we were bubbling up most of the top priorities from all the, at least it had an agenda or discussion topic on
Yeah.
it, but,
Yes.
or the staff
A
was
lot
taking care of
yes.
them.
A lot
the
of them are
things-
in progress.
yeah.
A lot of them are underway.
All right.
But we need to work
All right.
internally on that.
Under new business discussion, additional speed signs. I don't know where this one came from, but you,
So the context that I know of this, and this might be catching Chief off guard, but we had requests that came through the public, through the mayor, kind of a circular conversation through residents in the Forest Trail area specifically, that they're having speeding problems in the Forest Trail area. The typical response for requests for more speed limit signs is that, and most of our roads, as you all know, are DOT roads, so we have to file for an encroachment permit. It seems like they're resistant to generating more speed limit signs. So they're not in favor of adding a ton of signs. It happens that in Forest Trail, about half of that subdivision is city managed signs. The city would have the authority, if we chose to add signs in there. There's always a little bit of a, you want to be cautious about doing that, expecting that once you start, and the DOT does this obviously with speed bumps, with stop signs, with any signs, you expect that if you go down a path of starting to approve them, it can be a slippery slope where then every kind of city road you're getting requests to add additional signage. So I don't think the chief wanted to proceed with installing additional speed limit signs in Forest Trail without kind of directive from you all in terms of whether you think that's a good policy to proceed under, or do you kind of stay the course and
What areas of Forest Trail have been kind of the big issue? 34th, maybe?
Well, the only portion that's, and I don't know that I know if the complaints that have been received are in the portion of Forest Trail that are city
City
or
or-
not. So that'd probably be a good first step.
Yeah,
These complaints came from residents? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
About.
to the
Um,
chief.
Yeah, to the chief.
Yeah, this,
Yeah,
I mean, our traffic engineering consultant could tell us that. But anyway, what, a lot of the roads in Forest Trail, you can't go fast because they're so narrow and winding. So
Traffic calming by their
by
very
their,
their
design.
yeah, by
nature,
their
yeah.
design, you know, kind of thing. Now, the ones along, near the rec center may be, I mean, cars may speed along there trying to get someplace in a hurry, but,
Well,
so it depends on where it is that you're talking about.
to me, I'm not
'Cause
an
it's-
expert
'cause it's-
in where to put stop signs.
Right.
I would expect, you guys, if there's a real problem, you've analyzed it and said, hey, I highly recommend we put a stop sign for safety reasons here, but I don't know if that's a necessarily.
You wanna wait for
I
a
don't think that's a
recommendation?
council decision.
Wait for a recommendation from
Yeah,
Yeah.
PD.
I mean, I certainly am in no position to sit here and suggest the impacts of a stop sign. I mean, it's
Well,
just
speed
not-
limit,
or
speed limit sign.
Speed limit
Speed
signs,
limit or-
speed limit
yeah,
signs do not slow traffic.
Speed signs,
I
really.
mean, the speeders are still going to speed. Most people will
If you-
observe them, but
But if you feel
A
like
handful.
it's needed, then I just say, hey, I think we need stop signs or speed limit signs and here, and put them up. Or if you need money, come to us and ask for
Commit-
money.
Committee want, yeah, they wouldn't be expensive. Committee want to defer to the police department on whether
That's-
to install.
I mean, I think we should. In
Yeah.
my opinion is, they're the experts on safety and roadway safety.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
The next one is discussion and no passing on Palm Boulevard. And this is another one that actually I brought up because someone came to me and said, hey, there's passing on Palm Boulevard over by the Exchange Club, I guess, and through, in front of Boathouse in that area. And that's why I brought it up. But again, this is one I think that I'd hand off to the police department and say, yeah, that's probably not a good idea to have passing on that road,
Yeah.
especially at a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit.
And you got,
But incoming roadways.
yeah, exactly, Charleston and,
and
isn't it a double
Exactly.
yellow line on that?
Yeah, I think it's a double yellow
It's
line,
illegal.
yeah, so they should not
They,
be
they
passed.
said
Give
that
them
it's
some
not,
tickets.
It's not.
that it's not a double yellow line.
It's just
pa-
a small
passing-
section, I think,
Yeah,
right?
passing is allowed there, and people do, and when the resident was concerned for grandkids when they visit because they're playing out there and they're zipping by, when they do pass, they're exceeding the speed limit. But so I'm just bringing it up as a safety issue from a resident, but I would defer to the police department, to say, yeah,
Palm
that's,
Boulevard near the boathouse.
right.
Yeah, Exchange Club to the
Exchange
boathouse?
Club.
yeah.
What I would do is check to see if there's a double line, that double yellow line. If there isn't, DOT would probably permit that because the rest of Palm Boulevard has a double yellow. And then.
Chief Cornett
and
already
then
talked about it.
enforce.
He knows about this.
Uh-huh.
And, because I had talked to him about it, and he said that that DOT will, he confirmed that it is allowed there in certain areas.
Yeah,
And
they
said
will.
that DOT is the one, but he just wanted to make sure that, he had the discussion before he
Yeah,
went
that's
to DOT.
probably what, probably 300-yard stretch right there, maybe.
That's where Stacy lives.
Yeah, it lives right there on the corner
Yeah.
at Second Avenue.
Yeah.
Looks like it's the intracoastal side of Palm Boulevard between Second and the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they,
And then it's double
DOT
yellow.
will review it, and upon their request or their approval, they will go and just put up a sign saying there's no passing.
Yeah.
So, but they won't notify us that they put up the sign. You just one day go out there and see that sign
Just
is up
shows
there.
up.
But I think the chief wanted us to have that, and we agreed that we should do that to move forward. I would just suggest, if you feel it's unsafe, and it seems unsafe to me, but again, I'm not an
Yeah.
expert, but if you feel it's unsafe, move forward with the DOT and have them request that change. Okay. Next item in miscellaneous business. I guess one thing I would like to just say under miscellaneous is Chief Eagle's retiring, right? Is there anything, you want to announce I think there's some kind of walk-in on this
Drop
weekend.
in December
Drop-in?
15th, I think.
When is it?
1 to 4.
Yeah.
When?
So,
1 to, December 15th, 1 to 4 p.m. at the Public Safety
yeah.
Training Room, that area up there.
Yes, sir, on the second floor.
And I'm sure we'll do something for him, but I'd like to just thank him publicly for
Yeah.
his service. He's been a
I agree.
great asset to the
Yeah,
city.
he will be greatly missed.
Yeah.
He's a throwback, and they don't make him like that anymore.
Yeah,
And,
he's a wonderful guy and a great firefighter and great public servant.
Yep.
absolutely.
And he's driving a tremendous amount of mileage just to get back and forth from home.
Right,
Where's
that's
he
right. Yeah.
He moved out to Norway or someplace, which is kind of like in the, which is one of the Swedish towns in the
That's right.
Midlands.
All right. Then the next meeting date, I mean,
Oh, I've got something before we get to that.
normally our meeting dates in December would be December 2nd. I mean, is there a reason? A lot of times, I guess there's not committee meetings in December, but do we want to convene and I'll leave it to the committee if there's some things we want to follow up on. I'm available December 2nd if we want to meet.
I'm available also. I mean, if we have reason to meet for quick updates on some of the things we talked about today, I'm open to that, but I guess really we probably ought to depend on Douglas letting us know if
Yeah,
where
if
we.
you just want to, the week
Yeah, I mean,
before, let us know if you have meaningful
Yeah.
updates on any of these things, and
Okay.
we'll meet. Otherwise, we'll forego the December meeting.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it would only be updates. I mean, if you,
There's one thing I'd sort of like to, at some point, have Chief Oliverius address, and that is, we're getting a lot of community comments about the difficulty in retaining staff and in the fire department in particular. And I would just like to have a discussion about what possible solutions we might be able to implement in the future. I don't know if anything's going to happen right away, but we need to start talking about it, I think.
Is that a public safety discussion or a administration committee?
I don't know.
yeah,
What
I
do you
think, I mean, from my perspective, that full council has embraced the wage and compensation study that's underway. I think we are expecting to start, I think we've said January. I don't know if we'll start getting in information in December. But I think that's I mean, from my perspective, that's underway with full council at this point.
And I think that's something you supported as well,
Yeah,
Chief,
they-
is for us to get that study, make sure we give it the due attention it needs right away, but wait for the study to come back to
And
understand.
that's really for all staff, but concentrated on all of public safety.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The only thing I would like to add to that, correct, all city staff and of course, the fire department's part of that. And to be in consideration to evaluate mechanisms or a standard in place so that it helps us smooth out these areas in the future. So we're, set up for success so we don't have these whipsaw type,
Yeah.
Events and other agencies and other municipalities have also struggled with this same issue. So there are some creative things that council could consider to make it easier road to hoe.
Yeah. Well, we definitely, I think, would want your input as well as Chief Cornett and your input on any of those type of things that we can do beyond just, straight compensation, whether it's incentives and working with the surrounding community together to make sure we're not continually poaching everybody's people and that we work collectively together. I think there's a lot of things that we can consider that's a part of that overall study that the admin committee will take up as soon as we get the data in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to learn more and engage in those discussions.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Chair, one comment if I could while we're on the record too. Since this may be our last committee meeting, I'd like to wish Jan
Yeah.
Godspeed to you, and it's been a pleasure serving on the committee with you. And it's also been a pleasure serving with both of you on the Public Safety Committee this year too. I feel like we got some things accomplished as a group, and we're able to move some things forward, and there's still plenty to be done. But however the committee makeup is next year, then we'll just go with that. But
Yeah.
Jan, happy retirement
Yeah.
from council.
Thank you. I agree.
Thank you.
All right, being no further business, motion to adjourn?
So
Second.
moved.